Welcome everyone to the Pi audiobook channel. I'm Pi, your companion for this journey. Today, we begin part 1 of our series exploring the 34 timeless teachings of Lao Tzu, one of the greatest philosophers of the East. Modern life, with all its hustle and worries, can sometimes make us feel lost and strip away our inner peace. Lao Tzu's teachings, though simple, are deeply profound. They are like a cool, refreshing stream that cleanses the soul, helping us find balance and the true meaning of life. In his enduring work, the Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu left us gems of wisdom that light our path toward self-improvement and a more meaningful existence. In this first part, we will reflect on the first 11 teachings. Each one is a key, unlocking a new door of understanding. Let's quiet our minds, open our hearts, and embrace these insightful messages. Teaching 1. Trying to conquer others leads to chaos. Trying to conquer yourself leads to peace. Lao Tzu's first teaching touches on a common human desire, one that can also be a trap, the desire to win. When we pour all our energy into competing with and trying to be better than others, our minds become restless and anxious. We can easily get caught in a cycle of envy and jealousy. This chaos isn't just about external problems. It's a deep inner imbalance, like a war within our spirit. But if we turn our focus inward, face our own weaknesses and negative tendencies like anger, greed, self-doubt, or pride and overcome them, we will find peace and stillness in our souls. This is the toughest battle, but also the most rewarding, because winning against yourself is the foundation for all other kinds of peace. Buddhism has a similar saying: it is better to conquer yourself than to win 1,000 battles. Then the victory is yours. It cannot be taken from you. Think about Alexander the Great. After conquering nearly the entire known world, he reportedly wept because there were no more worlds left to conquer. Despite all his external victories, was he truly at peace inside? Or was his life an endless chase of ambition, proving the chaos that comes from only focusing on defeating others? Every day, we face many battles, big and small. Instead of just trying to conquer the world outside, maybe it's time we spend energy conquering the world inside ourselves. True peace doesn't come from being better than others. It comes from understanding and mastering yourself. Teaching 2. If you want to gain everything, you must first be willing to give up everything. His might sound like a contradiction, but it holds a deep truth about freedom and happiness. Everything here doesn't just mean material things or fame. It also means the attachments, the things we cling to, and the burdens we put on ourselves. When we hold on too tightly, we become slaves to our possessions, always afraid of losing them. Giving up everything doesn't mean living with nothing. It means letting go of our desperate attachment to things, letting go of a selfish ego, and letting go of unnecessary desires. This makes our soul feel light and free. When our mind is no longer weighed down, we truly have peace freedom, and the real joy of living. That's the everything Lao Tzu is talking about. There's a well-known story about a Zen master and a scholar. The scholar came to learn, and the master offered him tea. He poured tea into the scholar's cup until it was full, and then he kept pouring. The tea overflowed. The scholar cried out, "It's full. No more will go in." The master smiled and said, "Like this cup, your mind is full of your own opinions and old ideas. How can you learn anything new unless you first empty your cup?" What are we holding on to so tightly that it's weighing down our minds? Is there anything we can give up today to feel lighter and to welcome the simple joys life offers? Teaching 3. Understanding others is intelligent. Understanding yourself is true wisdom. Understanding others is intelligent. Understanding yourself is true wisdom. This can also be phrased as knowing others is cleverness. Knowing yourself is enlightenment. In life, being able to observe and understand other people is an important kind of intelligence. It helps us communicate, interact, and work together effectively. However, Lao Tzu points to a higher level of wisdom, the ability to know and understand ourselves. This is what he calls true insight, or true wisdom, knowing your own hidden motives, your strengths and weaknesses, your fears, and your deepest wishes. This is the foundation for taking control of your life. The great ancient Greek philosopher Socrates famously said, "Know thyself." He believed that all wisdom begins with self-awareness. Or, consider a king who was excellent at judging others' characters, but failed to see the ambition and suspicion growing in his own heart. In the end, he lost everything because he didn't truly know himself, even though he was good at knowing others. We spend so much time trying to understand other people, but how much time do we spend truly talking with ourselves? Understanding yourself is a lifelong journey, but it's the most rewarding one. Teaching 4. If you realize that all things change, you will not try to hold on to anything. This teaching speaks to a core truth of the universe. Everything is impermanent. Nothing stays the same forever, not objects, not emotions, not relationships, not situations. When we deeply understand and accept this, we see that trying to cling to anything, a moment, a person, a possession, an idea, will only lead to suffering. What we hold on to will eventually change or be lost, and our attachment will cause disappointment and regret. Not trying to hold on to anything doesn't mean being careless or giving up on life. It means living with a flexible attitude, appreciating the present moment without being desperately attached to it, and being ready for change. There's the story of Kisa, Gotami, and the mustard seed. When her only son died, she was overwhelmed with grief. The Buddha told her to bring him a mustard seed from a house where no one had ever died. She went from house to house, and everyone had mustard seeds, but every family had also experienced loss. It was then that Kisa Gotami realized that death and change are unavoidable parts of life. Is there anything from the past that we're still clinging to, preventing us from enjoying the present? Learning to accept that all things change is learning to live more freely and peacefully. Teaching 5. Those who rush headlong cannot go far. This teaching warns about the dangers of being hasty and impatient. As the saying goes, more haste, less speed. In life, everyone wants to succeed quickly. But impatience often causes us to skip important steps, to be poorly prepared, and to make mistakes. If you build a house too quickly with a weak foundation, it will soon collapse. Cannot go far means that kind of progress isn't sustainable. Lao Tzu valued patience and taking steady, well-prepared steps. The classic fable of the tortoise and the hare illustrates this perfectly. The hare was so sure of his speed that he rushed ahead and then got sidetracked. The tortoise, though slow, kept moving steadily and patiently, and eventually won the race. In our fast-paced world, are we sometimes rushing too much to achieve things, forgetting to build a solid foundation first? Remember, it's patience and steady steps that truly take us far. You're listening to the Teachings of Lao Tzu here on Pi Audiobook with me, Pi. If you find these insights helpful and spiritually valuable, please support us by clicking the subscribe button for Pi Audiobook and tapping the notification bell so you don't miss our next quality audiobooks. Every subscription, like, and comment is a huge encouragement for me and the team to keep sharing knowledge. Thank you sincerely. Teaching 6. Those who try to shine dim their own light. This teaching warns about the negative effects of showing off and trying too hard to impress others. When someone constantly tries to be the center of attention, they often seem artificial and lose their genuineness. This kind of shining usually hides their true inner qualities. A person's real radiance comes from within, from their character and wisdom. There's a folk tale about a man who got a new coat and stood by his door all day, hoping people would notice and praise it. But no one did. His efforts didn't make him look more impressive. They just made him look a bit silly. In our age of social media, it's easy to show off. But does that virtual approval bring real happiness? It's better to let your inner worth shine naturally. Teaching 7. Those who define themselves cannot know who they truly are. This teaching continues the idea that seeking approval from outside ourselves can be harmful. When someone is too desperate for others to recognize their worth or talent, they often lose the ability to see themselves clearly. They start acting and thinking based on what they believe others will accept, rather than listening to their own true inner voice. Constantly performing for others makes them drift away from their authentic selves. True self-knowledge comes from listening to what's inside, not from seeking external validation. Imagine an actor who gets too caught up in their role on stage. They perform brilliantly and receive much applause. But over time, they start living like the character they play, forgetting who they are in real life. They have successfully defined themselves by the role, but they've lost touch with their true self when the curtain falls. Are we trying to prove something to the world? Sometimes the greatest courage is simply daring to be yourself, imperfections and all. Teaching 8. Those who wish to control others are often unable to control themselves. This teaching points out a common contradiction. People who have a strong desire to control others often lack self-control. Wanting to control others might be a way for them to compensate for their own feelings of powerlessness or inner chaos. Instead of facing their own issues, they project the need for control onto others. People who have genuine self-mastery usually don't feel the need to control those around them. Think of a tyrannical ruler who wants to control every aspect of their subjects' lives. Yet, that same ruler might be unable to control their own anger, suspicion, or greed, ultimately harming their kingdom. When we feel a strong urge to control someone else, perhaps that's a sign to look inward. Learning to master ourselves is the first step toward building harmonious relationships. Teaching 9. Without opposition, the demons disappear by themselves. The demons here can be understood as negative energies, conflicts, or troubles within our own minds like anger, fear, or suspicion. Lao Tzu is saying that these demons are often fed and kept alive by our own resistance and fighting against them. When we stop directly confronting them with tension and instead choose to accept, observe, and transform them with calmness, wisdom, and compassion, these demons lose their power and disappear by themselves. There's a story of a king who ordered his soldiers to get rid of the darkness in a room. They slashed at it with swords and whipped it, but the darkness remained. A wise servant then said, "Your Majesty, to make the darkness go away, you only need to bring in a light. When light representing acceptance and wisdom appears, the darkness, or demons, vanishes without a fight." When we face difficulties, our first instinct is often to fight back. But could it be that sometimes this very opposition makes the problem worse? Try learning to accept and observe. Teaching 10. If you look into your own heart, you will find all the answers. This teaching affirms the immense power of our inner selves. We often look for answers, solutions, or peace in the outside world from other people, books, or circumstances. But Lao Tzu reminds us that the real treasure of wisdom and insight lies within our own hearts and minds. Looking into your own heart means taking a journey of self-reflection, quiet contemplation, and listening to the deep inner voice. Consider the fable of the buried treasure. A dying father told his sons there was treasure buried in their field. The sons dug everywhere but found nothing. When planting season came, they had no choice but to plant crops. Because the soil had been so well tilled from all the digging, they had a huge harvest. They became wealthy and realized the treasure was their own hard work and the potential within their own land, symbolizing the mind. When faced with life's questions and struggles, where do we usually look for answers? Have you ever tried to pause, quiet your mind, and listen to the voice deep within your heart? Teaching 11. Softness overcomes hardness. Stillness overcomes movement. This is a central idea in Lao Tzu's philosophy. Softness, meaning flexibility or gentleness, has the ability to endure, adapt, and ultimately overcome hardness or rigidity. Think of water. Though soft, it can wear away the hardest stone over time. Stillness has the power to master movement or agitation. When our mind is calm and still, we can see things clearly. The saying, "water wears away stone," is a perfect illustration. Soft Persistent water eventually erodes the strongest rock. Or think of a reed and a mighty oak tree in a storm. The rigid oak tries to fight the wind and is broken. The flexible reed bends with the wind and survives. In tense situations, we often try to be forceful. But could it be that gentleness, listening, and a bit of stillness might be surprisingly effective? You've just listened to the first 11 teachings of Lao Tzu with me, Pi, on the Pi audiobook channel. These philosophies are truly profound and remain just as relevant today, helping us to reflect on ourselves and our lives. I hope this first part has given you moments of quiet thought and valuable lessons. Remember, our journey into Lao Tzu's wisdom continues. Please join us for part 2 of this series on the Pi audiobook channel. Once again, if you enjoyed this content, please click like, share, and subscribe to the Pi audiobook channel to continue receiving meaningful audiobooks. Your support is the greatest motivation for me and the channel to grow. Thank you sincerely, and I look forward to having you with us for the next audiobook.